Hello and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, you will not be disappointed as I had the opportunity to talk to a millionaire. Yes, single mom to seven figures. Now, she grew up in Germany and she lost her mom at a tender age of 4, which caused her to have to spend some time in foster care while her father was trying to figure the single parenting life out. She came to the United States in 1994 where her journey to life now began. She acquired several degrees in multiple languages. Yes, as a single mother, she was definitely on a mission. Although she found herself homeless and living in a shelter for about 3 years, during that time, she was working and trying all kinds of network marketing opportunities. She even opened up a call center where she sold 94 applications in a month's time. Yes, you heard me. 94 families were helped in 1 month. Finally, after about 5 years as being an insurance broker, she found her home with Lincoln Heritage. She saw the opportunity here and she saw herself as one of the top female agents within this business. She currently has 22,000 policyholders that range about $17 million in her book of business. She's now at 6 years as a manager and she was awarded $3.9 million in the last company trip. This lady understands hard work and what it takes to build wealth. And without further delay, let's jump right on into this interview with Jessica Parker. Hello, Miss Jessica Parker. How are you doing this evening?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us on this platform. This is amazing. I'm glad that I was able to tie you down. I'm seeing you all over social media, going all over the world in your jet and everything else. Like, I have got to get her butt sitting down. So thank you. I want to thank you first.
Well, thank you for having me. It's definitely an honor. I've been following your YouTube channel for years now, been inspired by your efforts and super proud of all your success. So it's definitely an honor to be on here.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure. And all of these folk that have been watching for years, I'm sure they're like, wait a minute, another successful female agent. And this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to grab you on this channel. This channel, of course, we've been here for quite some time. Guys, if this is the first time that you are clicking on one of my videos, welcome, right? Feel free to subscribe. Jessica Parker also has a channel that she is building up. We are going to make sure that we have all of her information in the comments down below. So she's going to be talking about how she became a multi-millionaire in the business, final expense. Okay. Yes, with my company. Well,
yes.
Company, but I claim the company, right? You see her beautiful shirt. She's got it down a little bit, but she is looking for 100 ring earners, meaning people that are going to make 6 figures plus. I'm sure she's going to be talking all about that as well. Again, the main reasons why I wanted her on here is so many of my followers are females. A lot of them are single mothers. A lot of them are entrepreneurs trying to figure out if they want to come into the insurance industry, but not really sure. And that's what this channel really is all about, is talking about how we can inspire you, encourage you, and train you to live your best life right now. And so I wanted to bring Miss Jessica Parker because she is phenomenal. I did have a chance to meet her several years back on the company trips, y'all. Yes, of course, she's making the money. She is doing the work. She has a phenomenal agency and she goes to every single trip that Lincoln has. All right. So she knows what she's talking about. She's been here how many years now?
I'm in my 11th year this year. Yeah.
11 years, guys. 11. All right. So, I'm a baby in the business. I'm only 9 years in, have a lot to learn, and I'm always open to learn from so many people. She's always been phenomenal. She's always carried a very good, positive spirit anytime that she's been around. And now we have a chance to dig into a little bit of her energy right here on this channel. You guys have questions, comments, make sure that you put them down below, but also you will be able to link directly to her and her channel and you can connect with her directly. So we're going to make sure that you have a way to plug right in with her. Some of you guys have actually come to me from the New Jersey area because you were looking for an opportunity and I plugged you in. And if you guys want to plug in down and say how wonderful she is, because I know you've sent me the emails, you've sent me voicemails like, oh my gosh, she's phenomenal. I'm like, yeah, I know. She's just all over. Definitely connect. Do not wait. Now is the time. Now is the time to make that decision to change. And we're going to talk about how it is possible for you. But first, we're going to let Jessica take the floor and tell us, where does she come from? How did she come into the insurance industry? And were you a single mom at the time? We're going to start with that.
Well, first, thank you for the love. Thank you for that awesome edification. I love it. Definitely giving me the juju to go ahead and talk to you guys tonight. Yeah, I'm super, super excited. I mean, I've been in the industry now been in the industry for 16 years, with Lincoln for 11. And really wasn't something that, I woke up one morning and said, oh, let me get into insurance. I don't think any of us really just woke up one morning and said, oh, insurance is the thing to do. My background was in graphic design and photography. I went to school in Europe and Germany, and then came here in 94 and went to school here too, and took the same major, and got my degree in fine arts, but never worked in the field. And there's so many people, that spend all the money on college, have the degrees, and never went to work in their field. And that was certainly me. I definitely even went back to school to change my major. I went back for business office administration, got another degree, and hardly ever used it. Wow. And so I'm probably that poster child for, okay, you can go to school and have all the book knowledge and then still start at the ground floor at any company. They tell you that you're overqualified or that you don't have the work experience, so you're always going to be entry level. And even though I spoke 4 languages and had that background, 4.
Wow.
Yes, I speak 4 languages. Well, 3.5. Let's say 3.5. And you would think, that you could land any good job, good paying job, but it would always be entry level for me. So, that was pretty frustrating. So I always looked for opportunities. I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. I always wanted more. I was never satisfied with just the average. I saw myself living a big life, okay, from early on. And I think it all ties back to how I grew up.
I was going to say, because we did talk a few days back, so I do know a little bit, but I'm going to ask the question for the audience. You said you've always had a vision to live a big life, for more. Where did that come from? Was your family rich? Did they have money? Did you have an example to follow? Like, where does that come from? Because
right,
I didn't have that. So where did it come from for you?
Yes. So my father, he was Cuban, and if you've been paying attention to the news right now, Cuba is on fire. I mean, a lot of stuff happening over there right now, and it's really incredible. I wish he was here to witness that country becoming free, but that's where he's originally from. And he grew up extremely poor. He lost his parents at a young age, so he was the oldest, providing for his 5 younger siblings. So he was always, the leader in the family. And he went to work to put his siblings through school. So at 8 years old, he was out selling bananas and oranges on the street and cleaning shoes. And he grew up very poor, and then went to school for theology. He wanted to become a pastor, but he had this beautiful voice. And in Cuba, people sing, my grandfather sang. And so he, had this dream inside of him that he wanted to become a singer, but everybody told him to be a pastor. Wow. And that happens to us. Our parents tell us, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to play you're going to play the piano. I'm like, I want to play the saxophone. No, you're going to play the piano. Our parents tell us pretty much what they see us doing. And that happened to him. He kind of fell into that whole church life and becoming this pastor or what have you, but he had this beautiful voice. And so he decided that he wanted to pursue his singing career. And just imagine a black man, dark skinned black man, beautiful, dark skinned black man, that decides to become an opera singer out of all things.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
I don't know too many Hispanic, Latin, or men of color that decide to go into singing opera. It just doesn't happen.
It doesn't. You
And
don't say it. It's not common.
gospel, anything else but opera.
Right.
But that's what pulled him out of Cuba. And there's much more to that story. I'm gonna give you the short version. He ended up, by the way of Jamaica, he ended up in the United States and then in Germany, met my mom. And he really pursued his opera career. Somebody who didn't speak the language, he spoke Spanish and English and then learned Italian, German, Portuguese, and
He's
French.
smart.
Okay. Oh yeah, 6 languages he spoke. And in opera you have to know the languages because you have to study through all the music and really, not just that, not just study the words and the lyrics, but the music too. So I just remember him every night. He was up till 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, sitting, singing, studying through his music as a little girl. And I would actually listen and learn with him. So a lot of the opera, roles that he played, I actually knew to sing along from it. So I seen his work ethic at a young age, and all the hardships that we went through. My mother passed when I was 4 years old, and just seeing him struggle, and us spending some time at foster for him to get himself back together and really get the career going. We were always living modest, but he became very successful, and then years later was able to purchase big house and get us back and really kind of give us what he always had wanted to give us.
That's
And I
good.
think that's where it came from, because I always watched him, and for me he was my biggest inspiration, my hardest critic. I mean, my dad always on top of me. You have to work, you have to study, you have to be successful, you have to know how to cook, clean, take care of the house, be that woman, but also be that student, and go to school, get your degrees, and have a career.
That's
And
strong. I mean,
oh
that
yeah.
that is an amazing history to be such a young lady and be able to witness that. Like when you're talking, I'm very visual. So I drift off whenever somebody is telling her story. I drift off and I'm like imagining these things. And I'm just like imagining him at all these hours and you being young, watching and just like admiring your father being able to do these things and take care of the household with your mom, that passed on. Like that's hard for
Oh
any
yeah.
to deal with, a single parent, but
Hmm.
then to see him hustle and then to see him succeed. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, yo, that is powerful. That's something that
Yes.
whenever things I would think would go wrong, you could hold on to that. Like, but wait a minute, because my dad, you had that example, that work
Yeah.
ethic, like that's strong.
Yes,
Strong.
and I've seen him overcome so many things. He's gone through a lot of painful experiences, a lot of loss, a lot of setbacks. And then I also watched how he dealt with different challenges in Germany. That was a country back then, and there weren't black people in Germany. We were always the only black people at church, in school, in the neighborhood, wherever, and here's this black man coming, and the kids would scatter.
Yeah.
They'd be scared of him. It was so funny. But just seeing how he made it without any excuses, and pulled through, and always said to me, if you want something, you got to go after it.
Mhm.
And stop being weak, stop being sorry for yourself, you have to work. And I'm the oldest of 4 girls.
Okay.
So he said, after me everybody was supposed to be a boy, but to end up being 4 girls. And he always, he was hard on me. And I always felt like, why he's so hard on me? He's like, you're the oldest.
Yeah. You're like
You're
the
the oldest. You have to set the example. You have to, they follow what you do. So I have to be harder on you.
wow.
And, and sometimes that's how it is. The oldest always gets the toughest hand. And then the youngest, they don't worry about them anymore.
I was the youngest, and let me tell you, I got the short end of the stick, but that's for another
Oh,
day. So I got to step in on that because I was the baby, but I swear I was the oldest. Good Lord. But yeah,
Yes.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So fast forward, now you've gotten the degrees, you've gone to school, you've been able to see this amazing example of coming from not having much at all, going through some foster care, and then your father being able to, gain control again of his family. And in doing what he ultimately wanted to do. How did you end up here? Because, like you said, this isn't somewhere that most of us don't plan to be here.
All right.
You got here, and you're like, you're not just here, you're hitting records. You've been hitting records. You have an amazing agency. You guys are doing millions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, how did
Well, so yeah, so how did I end up in the United States? Well, it's very strange because I didn't find out until I was like in my 30s why my dad was so gung ho about sending me here. And I'd always asked him, I almost even, blamed him. I said, it's your fault that I'm struggling. You sent me to this country. My whole family's in Europe and I'm here by myself. I have no safety net. And I always would be upset with him about it. Now, in hindsight, I couldn't thank him more. But, he one day he came back from one of his engagements, as they say, where he was singing somewhere else. And he came back and he said, you're packing your bags. You have 2 weeks. I'm sending you to the United States. And, I was young. I had my own ideas of what I wanted to do. And he said, forget about those ideas. You're not going to this, I wanted to go to this, it was like a special arts school. And there were 600 students that applied and only 40 got picked. And I was one of them. So for me, that was my first success, my first accomplishment. And he said, yeah, right. You are not going to the school with all those crazy kids with green hair and, smoking weed and out here partying and being crazy art students. That's not going to be your life.
yeah.
And so he, packed me up. I had a suitcase and he gave me $2,000 and he said, you're going to America. And that was it. I had an aunt that lived in Philly. I had not really met her before, didn't know that family. And I ended up with them and I stayed there and it just didn't work. It just didn't work out. Okay. First 6 months, it was crazy to say the least. But I was very grateful that I had that as my stepping stone. Um, and I left there after about 6 months and ended up, saying, well, I'm grown now. I have to make my own decisions, find my own way, and decided to put myself through school. I did ended up homeless. Okay. I lived in a shelter for 3 years and I put myself through school and worked several jobs, got into network marketing.
Okay.
Okay. And that was kind of my first exposure to business, learning how to, that whole personal development side of it, really understanding like, wow, you're in the land of opportunity. You can really create anything you want. You can be a millionaire by the time you're 30. I mean, prepaid legal, I'm sure you heard of it. ACN,
Oh,
those
yeah.
are some of the companies I dealt with, and you have all those visionaries there and they tell you that, oh, you could, be anything. That was the first time that I was exposed to that world, and I believed it. I said, I'm gonna be a millionaire, and everybody around me, they always said, "Oh, she's crazy." Like, yeah, Jessica, she'll be talking about being a millionaire. Yeah, listen to her. You know what I mean? Just buy her stuff. Just buy whatever she's selling. Because tomorrow she could be selling lipsticks, then she gonna sell perfumes, then she gonna be selling T-shirts and purses. Like, I always was selling something. But that kind of is what started me out on that entrepreneurial road. Plus, living in the circumstances that I was living in, um, it was very modest. I had a room. There was a cot in that room. There was a sink. It was almost like I've never been to prison, so I don't know how prison cells look, only from the movies.
Something
Okay,
like that.
but
And you're right there too. It's,
it's very small.
yeah.
And it was a shared bathroom and I was there for 3 years. And and I always said to myself, it's going to get greater later, and I have to be able to praise God in a boat before I can praise him in a ship.
That's
And that was my constant thought process. I always saw myself living different. I said, this is temporary, this is temporary.
Yeah.
And I very much so church going person. I found a church near where I stayed, and that was something that I know pulled me through those difficult times.
Well,
And
yeah.
yeah, I became a single mom. All right. Shout out to my baby daddy. No, I always do.
Everybody has one or two or three or four of those.
Only one. No, but I'm very grateful because he did, teach me how to stand on my own. All the people in our life, they have a purpose,
Yes.
and he made me a mom. So I'm so blessed to have my son. He's my everything, and
So handsome.
yeah,
I have a perfect picture of him, like right here. He's
yes.
yeah.
And he's actually the person who introduced me to network marketing. Okay. And always pushed me into business. Hey, run your own business. He when back then when we was in our 20s, he was always the one with the big vision that I'm gonna own my own business and this is what we're gonna do and this and that. So that kind of pushed me in that direction.
Nice.
So I always thank him for implanting that seed
Yeah.
and kind of allowing me to step into that business world, the entrepreneur world.
Yeah. How old were you when you had your son?
I was 24.
Okay.
I was the same age as my mom when she had me. You're never ready, really, but I know now I was definitely financially, my situation, not ready to have a child, of course, young.
I
Well, but he was my pride and joy. I was very happily pregnant. I loved being a mom. He wasn't an accident. He wasn't, yeah, oops, I'm pregnant kind of thing. Definitely, he was a planned child, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I wasn't one of those parents that were like, oh, let me put him off to have someone else watch him. So I was very engaged, 24/7 mom, and I loved it. Like I said, every minute of it. I'm sometimes saying, hey, you got to go back to being a baby.
You're going way too
Like,
fast.
mom.
Way too fast. Here he is telling you, Mom, you need to be in network marketing. Let's get let's go.
Oh yes, and that exactly, that became a big why for me. He became one of my biggest motivating factors. When you become a mom and you're not just responsible for yourself anymore, and you got to provide, and you want to create that life for your child, and you want to keep food on the table. Um, you will work. You will do whatever it takes. You will do, and that was me. So when Prince was little, we struggled hard. I was on food stamps. Sometimes I found myself sleeping on a friend's couch, and I would have no water or heat in the house, and I would go over my aunt's house for dinner and a shower.
Get
And
a-
we laugh at it today,
Yeah.
but those were the and I never forget those situations, because they are really what created that will and that drive and that desire. And I wasn't going to go home. I could have packed up my bags. I could have just packed up my suitcase and called and said, Dad,
I'm
this is
coming.
not working, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was so prideful. I said, no, I am not going to fail. I am not just going to call and say, Dad, I can't do it. I was too proud to ask for money, and I was too proud to even tell him what I was going through. He didn't know that I lived in a shelter for 3 years until maybe like within the last recent years. Okay.
Yeah.
So he never knew that. And he was actually here when I got evicted out of one of my apartments that I lived in. He didn't know what it meant. He saw notice on my door, and I said, Dad, I have 11 days to come up with $1,000. And he said, oh, good luck. I'm sure you find $1,000. And I said, well, I'm gonna get kicked out of this apartment. And it's almost like it went over his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got kicked out of that apartment, and I ended up in, at my girlfriend's in her basement on her couch for a couple of months until I could save up some money and start
And
over
how's that
again.
girlfriend? Thank God for
Hmm?
that. I said, thank God for that girlfriend in that basement.
Oh, yes.
And,
Yes.
and I'm sure there's so many people that are listening to this video right now that are like, oh my God, that is what I'm going through, watching this on my cell phone that barely has a battery while I'm in the dark, wondering what's about to crawl on me, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and knowing that God has been talking to them, telling them that they are supposed to be doing something else. And is this it?
Yeah,
Is this it?
exactly.
So you end up getting into insurance. How was that? Tell me about, I know it's been years, but if you can just like tap back into like your first year.
Yeah. So how did I get into insurance? Was applying for jobs. Okay. At the time, I was working at some rinky-dink job that I got through a temp agency. You didn't need a brain to do the work. It was like $10 an hour. I took it because at that point I needed a job. I didn't care. All right. And I was working, it was a data entry job. So you're sitting there all day and you're just putting numbers, and you get a card, you put the numbers, and you get another card and you put the, and I was like, I'm going crazy. So on my lunch break, I would go and I just apply for jobs. I put out my resume everywhere. And one day I got a call from this company and they said, come in for interview. And it was the Hartford. Okay. And I walked in and I told them, look, I can work. I just don't work on Saturdays. That's my holy day. But if you hire me, I'll start immediately. And they hired me. Got into the sales department, into the Spanish department, and they, started selling Medicare supplements over the telephone in Spanish,
Wow.
and ended up being one of their top salespeople. And you know, like, I mean, you had our quotas and all this and that. Started out entry level, was like 26 or $28,000
Yeah.
for the year
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
income. And I said, well, at least I can pay my bills. I'm not going to have to worry about, food stamps or lights going out or any of that. I'm able to create some sort of stability, and I'm going to just do this until I figure things out.
Yeah.
And so I was there for 5 long years. And one afternoon, um, one of the coworkers came to me and threw a magazine on my table, and he said, "You are in it." I said, "What?" I opened the magazine, and it was one of them days during lunch. Somebody came by my desk and took a picture of me. I didn't know what its purpose was, but I ended up in their newsletter, magazine, or what have you.
Wow.
And I was the face of their employment ad, saying, come to work for the Hartford. This is a phenomenal career. You can start out with $28,000 a year. And it gave all the qualification that you needed. And then call this number to set up for an interview.
What a picture
And
of you.
with a picture of me with the headset. And I was just sitting there like,
Like, where's my commission for that? Where's my money?
no, it was a reality check. I said, oh, hell no.
Girl.
I
Oh.
said, this is me. And in that moment, I made a decision that, I have to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I became a telecommuter. I worked from home. And then I met somebody that was actually selling Aflac. And they're like, oh, come on, sell Aflac with us. You make so much money, and da 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 da. And I'm like, all right. I went on a couple of appointments with them and saw for the first time that there's agents working outside of an office in a field making money. And I met other agents through that, and went to networking events, ran into an insurance agent that was just selling life insurance, and got into conversation. He said, well, if you get your life license, you will make a ton of money. And I said, well, how much money? And he showed me what it was possible. He was asking me, well, how many Medicare sales are you making at the job? I said, well, I'm taking hundreds of phone calls. I'm making like between 10, 12 sales a day.
Wow.
And he's like, what? If you only did one in the field, you'll make $400 or $500.
Mhm.
And that got me excited because I was like, okay.
Okay, 400 times 12. Yes, I'm in.
And And I sized him up and I said, well, there's nothing special about this guy. I mean, if he can do that, then I could do it, you know? So I studied for my license. I failed the first time I took the test because I was overconfident. I didn't really study. And I went and failed it by 1 point, went, took it again, passed it. And then I walked away from the job. Okay. Well, and the way I did it is I started selling insurance in the mornings and on the weekends. And my goal had been to stack my money, pay my bills up front for at least 6 months, and then walk away from the job
That was smart.
because I wasn't going to fall in again. You
Yeah,
know
you
what I
were like,
mean?
I'm not going back to the shelter, so let me make sure.
Yeah, this time I was going to be smart. I wasn't just going to walk off of a job or, do anything crazy. So I learned from my mistakes, and I made sure that I had money saved and that I, had a cushion.
Yeah.
And then in that, I still thinking big. I'm like, yeah, now I got my life license. I know how to make this money. I know how to close. I know how to sell. Let me set up a call center. So I called my dad. I said, Dad, next time you come here, you need to help me. I need to set up shop. I want to, really sell this insurance. And he was like, what?
He's like, another thing.
Well, to him, he never really understood initially what I was doing.
Yeah.
But he saw me passionate about it, and he said, I'm going to help you. And he had a house in Philly, and he didn't know really what to do with it. So I told him, let me use that as an office. So he invested a little bit of money to get the first floor turned into an office, and I rented it from him. I paid him rent. Okay. So, Dad, I'm going to pay you. I'm not just going to be here. I'm going to make sure that, whatever you charge me, I'll pay you. And so I hired appointment setters. Okay. And I think I told you this the other day. I had 4 appointment setters in the morning, 4 appointment setters in the afternoon. They all were from the Philadelphia Aquired. They had like let go a lot of people, and I just caught all of them and took them in.
Amen.
And I was
Oh my
used to
God.
phone sales. So it was easy for me to train them. I wrote a script, train them, gave them calling lists, and they went to work. And so I would run appointments like I had appointments in 30-minute increments in whichever zip code. So I could really go from door to door to door to door and knock out a lot of appointments in a short period of time. And that really is what had set me off. I learned how to close. So the person that mentored me into getting my insurance license, always give kudos to those that put you on, even the ones that try to burn you, you know what I mean? Because you learn the most lessons from them. um, so, he taught me how to really sell, okay, how to lead with the application, go in a house, and really just get to the point and get the check. And so if I had a 16 app week, it was a bad week, and I would beat myself up.
Wait,
Okay.
wait,
I would beat
wait,
myself up.
wait. Did you say if you had a 16 application?
Anything under 20. Anything under 20 apps, I
Wow.
would beat myself up. If I had 3 sales in a day, I was miserable. I would go home and say, Prince, I only did 3 today. He said, Mommy, tomorrow would be a better day. You're going to get your 5. My goal was 5 sales a day.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so I ran like that for a minute, and I thought I had it going on. I was making more money than at the Hartford. But this industry, I mean, there are so many greedy people. It's cutthroat. Back then, there weren't any women in the business, And so my manager, he was, really excited that he found, somebody that was hungry, ready to work, had the energy. I was making maybe $1,000, $1,500 a week, and I thought I had it going on.
Wait a minute. I can't even imagine that. Wait a minute. You did that many apps and only did 1,500?
Listen, I was on a contract that was supposed to be the contract. Okay.
Probably so, 110% contract.
Yeah, that kind of contract, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but no, he actually ended up splitting back 50% of my commissions on top of his override. So he was swimming in money from all my work. And then one day he pulled up in a brand new Beamer, and here I kept complaining about my car, my car in and out of the shop. And here this guy pulls up in a new car. I was like, dang, how is that possible? I'm doing all the footwork. I'm doing all the,
Okay.
I'm putting in all the grind. This guy pulling up in a new car. Something wasn't right. And started looking into what was going on, and there was some stuff going on. So I had to, of course, call him out. I shut the whole thing down. I changed the locks on the office. I let everybody go, and dropped and stopped because it was just not a good situation.
Right.
But a lot learned from that. How not to run an insurance business, how not to treat agents. You know, there's a lot of money to be made in management, but you have to be fair with the people that commit to you. And I was a good person. I was loyal. I was hardworking. I was a single mom. I needed the money.
Mhm.
Um, you know, and
So let me pause in here though, because you were a single mom doing all of this activity. Blessing with the appointment setters to be able to bang out those calls and set your week up. But who had your son? Who had Prince?
Well, I had a babysitter. He was in school. He would get dropped off. He was in private school. So they had him. He would get dropped off around 4 or 5 o'clock, and I would have him drop off at a friend's house. She would watch him for me. And then at the end of my route, I would go pick him up every day. And I told him, I said, Prince, when mommy makes money, when mommy makes enough money, I'm going to take you on a great vacation. I'm gonna buy you a TV. We didn't even have a TV, girl. I had a TV with the antennas, with the clothing hanger sticking
Yeah,
out.
yeah, you got to put that foil around that baby. And
I had no cable TV.
I do know.
And
I
it was this big fat TV thing, and we didn't really watch TV. But I told him, I said, when I make this insurance money, I'm gonna take you on a great vacation, and we're gonna get some flat screen TVs. Yes. So that was, a big thing. He remembers that vacation to this day. I took him to California. We went to all the amusement parks that he could handle
yes,
for like a whole week. And when we came back, I got the TV. He had his own TV in his room, and
I know
you
you
know,
out, and
oh
he
yeah, he was like, "What? I have my own." I wish I still had the video. When he unwrapped his TV. Um, he was maybe 10 years old. Yeah, it was exciting, and it feels good when you can do stuff like that, for your kids, and and eventually for your family, for other people. So, but yeah, that's what got me into life insurance, and then this manager introduced me actually to UBI, to Lincoln Heritage. But unbeknownst to me, I was already with Lincoln. So he sent me to a meeting. Yeah, he sent me to a meeting. I met Ted Wilson Sr., Judy Bradshaw, Dale Hawkins, and he was friends with Dale. So, he was bragging and said, this girl right here, she's killing it. Da, da, da. And he said, well, she needs to come over here. So introduced me to them. And, when I heard about the compensation plan, it was like, wait, this doesn't make
that's
sense. Like,
not right. Mm-hmm.
something isn't right. Like, I'm missing so much money. Like, I must not comprehend it properly. Okay. So I would leave. I would leave the meeting, and just like I said, nah, this is
It's
too
a
good to
lie.
be true.
Lying.
Something isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
I went back again a second time. And I told you, my son's father at the time worked at New York Life, had a license too, and I took him with me. I said, "Come look at this, tell me what you see, and we always co-parented really well. So we had great relationships. So I always bounced things off of him, and he came with me, and he said, "No, this is legit. You need to check this out." And I was like, well, I don't get it. I don't understand the money. So Dr. Wilson came, sat down with us. He showed us the money. And I said, I'm doing it. Are you doing it? He was like, nah, it's not for me. I said, all right, fine. I'm going in. I'm doing it. I took his card and didn't touch it for 6 months. It was sitting on my nightstand. And I said to him, a couple of things I have to put in order, because I still, was like kind of tying up my ends with this other situation. And I said, I'm almost through with that. Once I'm through with it, I'll come on board all the way. So fast forward in the summer, I called. He knew who I was. And he said, I've been waiting for your call. I flew to South Carolina and found out I was already with Lincoln.
I know you're
And
like, hold up.
yes,
How am I with Lincoln and not making this money that you're talking about? And we at the same company.
well, my previous manager had signed me up with Lincoln and I didn't know it. Okay. So I had to actually meet with Doug Turner, the VP of Lincoln,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
And I had to plead my case because they weren't going to rehire me. They were like, "You connected to this guy. You know, he got flagged with the insurance department. He's a fraud. If that's him, then that's you too." So I had to, sit there and, really give references of my character, my, who I am, and have, people vouch for me and all that. And they said, all right, we'll think about it. And I was just like, wow, I cannot believe I'm not going to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. Somebody signed me up, signed my signature on a contract, and I didn't even, uh,
No.
it
Yeah.
was that. But so what happened is I still went to work for UBI. I said to them, if it's not through Lincoln, I'll work through y'all second carrier, which is second best, right? And I'm gonna help, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get on board. And so they hired me as a initially first as a field coordinator, okay, and that allowed me to be really close within the company, like everything that the company was doing, like meetings, the recruiting processes, and all that stuff.
Nice.
So I was able to learn, like in my first 2 3 years, how actually agency building works behind the scenes.
That's
And
powerful.
I would travel to South Carolina. I would go to Georgia when we opened up, Georgia, and I would sit there and I would just take notes. I was a sponge. I was like, I'm going to learn everything. I'm going to learn everything. Um, and in the meantime, kept writing Lincoln, hey, please take me back.
And I didn't even know I was here. But thank God that they were forgiving enough. That's one of the things I love about Lincoln is how forgiving they are. And so they're willing, if you prove that you are not unethical, like they
Yeah.
give you that second chance. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, look at you now. I know they're like, I'm so glad we let Jessica come back.
yes,
So she didn't
exactly.
know she was here.
Well, the funny thing is that, I would go to all of their meetings and I'll be right back in their face. I'm like,
I'm so
but on my birthday, okay, December 2nd, so y'all can all send me cards and, remember December 2nd. I got a call from Lincoln and the email of acceptance. Okay. So they took me back on my birthday. So it's biggest birthday present, so every time I'm celebrating my birthday, I'm really celebrating my anniversary more than my birthday.
yeah, it's amazing.
um, yeah. So I was happy that they, gave me another chance. And that's what I keep telling agents, man. You lose your Lincoln contract, that's like a contract you don't want to lose, it's so valuable from any and I was a broker before I came to Lincoln, when I was running with the appointment setters, I had about 25, 30 different carriers.
Yeah, I was about to say for those that don't know what she just said, it a broker is somebody several different carriers, and so they literally are sitting in a home and they're trying to figure out by means of process of elimination all these different questions to see where they can fit a client in one of their book of businesses.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I had everything under the sun. I was selling all kinds of different products, and and then to just focus on one, that was a challenge for me too, because just doing final expense.
having yeah option.
But they say there's riches and niches, so I listened to that and I saw that, hey, they're making multi-millions. Meanwhile, I'm over here being a broker, you know, trying to still make ends meet. I better listen, I better learn, I better pay attention and become an expert. And so when I got my Lincoln contract, you didn't have to tell me nothing else. I already had a little bit of a head start in terms of training,
Mhm.
and I got into agency building. I told, my upline at the time, Dr. Wilson, I told him, I said, look, I don't go into agency building. I came from the network marketing background. I could see that I can build team. This is not network marketing here,
Right,
but has some of the similar, dynamics in terms of
absolutely.
recruiting and building and stuff.
You knew you
And
had management capabilities. You knew you were management. You knew you could
exactly.
attract people. You can
e-
train individuals. You knew the business. So yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And I was not a quitter. You know what I mean? I'll go and I will call and I will follow up and until I get you. You know. So my first year with Lincoln, my 6 months in, I got into agency building.
Okay.
Okay. And I told, them, I said, this is what I want. I want to be an MGA. I'm gonna be at the next convention. And they said, you sure? And almost laughed at me. I said, look, I'm gonna be your youngest female director that makes the most money, and you watch me do it. And he laughed at me. He said, it's gonna be a long time, young lady, before you gonna be able to make millions with this company and
You got to
really
tag Ted Wilson. Hey, look.
talk to management. We talk about this a lot. We laugh at it, but he was right because it's definitely a journey. It's so much to learn about yourself in it. Like I always say, this business is like a personal development package with a compensation plan attached to it, because you do learn so much about yourself in the interim. You get, like, the business will definitely expose a lot of areas in your life that you need to work on.
I didn't
And
tell
then
her to say that, y'all. I didn't tell her to say that. The truth all sounds the same.
it does, the business will either promote you or expose you.
Yes.
Time is gonna, do that.
Yes.
And it never fails. But, if you, follow just those few principles that are, uh, don't get me started on this, but you follow a few principles that are duplicatable, and you stick with it, and you just understand that it starts with you. You have to be your best agent first, and then everything really drives from there. And that's how it went. I mean, I made mistakes as a manager, my first couple of years in. Um, not knowing, certain things. You have to understand all the dynamics of the business, people, different mentalities and attitudes, and different personalities, and then your own personality. you
You're
know
truly a counselor. You're a counselor. When you're a manager, I think in any realm, especially in the insurance business,
hmm
because we are dealing with so many individuals and then they're dealing with so many people when they're out in the field. And so they're having to deal with all those spirits out there. Then they're coming back to you because they done picked up all these spirits and didn't know how to deal with it. Yeah, that's why I went through coaching. I was like, I need to learn how to deal with some of these people because it's
yes.
a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, so personal development plays a huge role in leadership in this company, because people do drive off of your energy, you know, and they the famous saying, the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. So if you're not on point, your team is not going to be on point.
Right.
But I'm glad, and I always say this, is that, the company pretty much raised me. My associates, my business partners, like, all we call them in UBI as directors, right? They all helped, in the process. So I always say it takes a lot of agents to raise an agent,
Yeah.
and it's not just you always. You can inspire people, but sometimes they need to hear it from someone else. Sometimes they need to hear someone else's success story or another person's version of, what works. And we're all saying the same thing. It's just coming out of a different mouth. And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, my first convention with Lincoln was in Dominican Republic. Okay. And that was so exciting. My team did 1.4 million in sales, and that was in 2000, and I want to say it was 13.
Yeah, because that's when I first came in, was Dominican.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So 2011, 12 was the year of qualification, and then early in 13 was the trip, if I remember that right. And yeah, I mean, that was the 50th anniversary with Lincoln, and they rolled out the red carpet. It was amazing.
Imagine.
Um, I'll never forget that first trip. And I met Troy Miles in Dominican and Tanya.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we were friends ever since then
I mean, who cannot be friends with Troy?
with the big guy, right?
Oh, like the huge teddy bear, you know? Oh
Yes.
my word. Yeah. Love.
But I just love his sincerity. And I followed him around. I was like, man, I need to talk to you. You have to tell me, look, I wanna be a millionaire.
Yes. Yes.
And he said, you can be, you just need to read and listen to The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I was telling him, my team, I want to figure out how to grow it. And he said, well, it's about what happens under the ground that determines what's going to be above the ground. And I was like, what is he talking about? And he said, well, if you want to change the fruits, you have to change the roots. So he was throwing all these, things at me. And I said, okay, I'm going to figure out what that means because I've never heard that before. I got the book, started listening to it like every day and kept picking his brains of like, look, I have to ask you more questions. And he was so open and willing, to help and give information and really just kept me believing that I could do it. And I think the biggest impact that he had, I mean, I don't want to say the biggest, but the thing that just really made me think like, dang, there's so much money to be made. I'm not doing anything yet. Is when he pulled out his phone and he's like, look, I just got my pay through. And I saw it and I was like, no way.
I don't
No
know what year that was
way.
when you saw it, but imagine what it is today.
Yes, imagine what it is today. That was back in 2013. Okay.
Listen,
And and even talking to the top agents with UBI, the directors that were building team that were doing great, they were talking about their pay throughs being so big, like more money than people earn in a year
over a
at a
million.
regular job. And I said, one day that's gonna be me. One day that's gonna be me. And I really saw it. So I had a big vision always. Like I always saw myself that I would do it. Okay. And two, I always been a good steward of my money. So Wilson always said, Jessica, when the money starts coming, don't go crazy now. We tell our agents this: when you start make your pay through starts doubling up, and it's gonna be like a faucet where you kick off the handle and the money just start pouring.
Yeah.
And he said, you stay real calm. And I just remember him saying it. And I got nervous when he said, you stay real calm.
Yeah.
And I started believing that it was this thing is real. This thing is real. He says, stay calm when the money starts coming. Like the way he said it, it was just a different intensity about it where I was like, wow, it's about to go down.
I wish I
And
heard that, to be honest, because I
yeah.
remember I was just talking to Troy earlier today with our interview, and I told him, I said, I remembered when it seemed like it just like clicked. And that year, Raheem and I took about 5 vacations. 5. Okay. We
Wow.
gone. I was like, we're taking my mother. She's going to watch the kids. We were out of here running through it. You know what I mean? Running through it. And then the next year,
Hmm.
I was like, I spent a lot of money last year, Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you just need to be good with that money because
Yeah.
you never know. You
I
make sure you're storing up.
Yes, I saved every dime. I didn't spend, just basics, I still pretended like it was gonna be gone tomorrow, and I never seen that in my money in my bank account, like once it like passed $100,000, I was like, what? I got $100,000 in my bank
All
account.
back then.
Well, it seemed surreal initially, to be able to earn that much money by doing something that's very simple consistently over time. Okay. And year after year, it just became more tangible that you can have the bigger money. But two, how can you make your money have babies? Okay. How can you make your money make more money? Because if it's just sitting in the bank, it's depreciating, so even as we go along in the business, you have to educate yourself about finances, about money, how to be a good steward of what you have, because if not, you lose it all, you spend it on dumb stuff. um you you're just not going to do the right thing with it. So for me, initially, like I said, I saved it and then I started investing. I started investing it. I took care of my family. I took care of my dad in Germany. I took care of, I helped my sisters with some stuff. I was able to do stuff for other people, but like all in all, I'm not the one to go out and spend $2,000-3,000 on a purse or get them red bottoms and this and that. This is just something I just did recently, only because my son said, "Mom, you walking around bummy. You shouldn't be dressing like this no more." And he said, "You need to retire all these clothes and you need to go shopping."
Some things that are nice. It is okay to do that. I think that's something with women. A lot of women, we do take care of everyone else, and then we're like, I'm good. I think that's
Well,
a lot of us do that.
yeah, but for me, it was not even an interest with it. I didn't see, first of all, he had to give me a whole education on all the name brands of what's what and this and that and what's hot and not. Okay.
Why haven't we been
Because
friends?
I'm not a materialistic person.
I hate them all. I don't even like shopping.
Look, but he would be like, "Mom, you need to get yourself some this. We need to this. What do you say to me? No more Michael Kors." He said, "No more Michael Kors." Said, "This purse right here, Goodwill. Let's go."
Good?
Huh?
Michael Kors isn't any good?
Look, I don't know. To me, it didn't make a difference. I'll go to Ross and get me a purse. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But
Not Michael Kors. I'm gonna have to call your son. Like,
look, he put me on to some whole other stuff. But just this year, it's the first time that I spend a little bit more money on some of those kind of things.
yeah.
But in my whole entire career, never spent my money on anything like that because I felt like that was a waste and people are crazy that do that because that money can make more money. So I would always look for, ways to where I can put my money to make more money. Okay.
Wow.
And so now I have real estate. I have 1.3 million in real estate. I'm excited about that and it's growing from here on forward, doing some crazy stuff right now that's about to happen. That I'm not even gonna talk about.
They tell you don't tell everybody everything. You gotta let me.
No, you certainly don't.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
certainly don't.
Yes, ma'am.
And but you work on your net worth. You work on your net worth because that's really what it's all about in the end. Leaving that legacy behind.
That legacy. Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. So I'm like blown away. I didn't know that you came in 6 months. You were like, listen, I'm coming in. I want to be a manager. I want to be a manager. And then went into management. And now it's like, I'm going to build this agency. I see the videos, the different things that are posted. I've seen you on, because I just like to know what's going on. Um, and I'm like, wow. And I love your holiday parties. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yes.
I'm like, let me check my time here. I swear we're gonna need like two more sessions or 5 or 10. Uh, y'all let me know down below if you want Jessica to come back and join us. I'm sure they're gonna say, yeah, you gotta like it up, go to her Instagram page. Again, all of her information is gonna be in the comments below. But I see, I feel like I'm spoiled over here with the Miles Group because the way that we run our agency and everybody, for
Hmm.
the most part, we're connected and we're cool and we share information. You know what I mean? If somebody does something or they create a letter, they've gotten it approved, they're like, hey, this worked for me. I tried it out the last 2 months. Do you guys do that? Like, is that the type of culture that you've created, that you have? Because you guys seem pretty close knit. Like, I don't have my bracelets on, but I have a million of those beaded bracelets. I love those. I have a lady that makes them for me. Oh
She's been sitting here.
my God, look at your
Yes, she's been
baby.
listening. Yes.
I'm like, dog,
So
look,
if you see me here,
love
that's what
my
it is.
pets. Yes. But yeah, was that always a vision for you too? Did you have that coming in with the Ted Wilson group, or did you create your own? Like,
I created my own. So when I came to the UBI family, there weren't a lot of women at the time. Judy Bradshaw was really the only one that was doing it. And big shout out to her because she inspired me so much. And then, there were others following after her, but she was really the only woman in the room always. And when I started building my group, it was always just a lot of guys. So I would go in and I had to train, and it'd be all these dudes in a room. And here I am in front of the room teaching you about the Facebook and how to fill out an application. And they were like, I still don't know how to do it. Okay, I get it, whatever. But it was when I always saw that I wanted to structure it and have it be in a way that it's easily duplicatable with systems in place that could just really make it easier for me as a manager. And back then we didn't have webinars, we didn't have boot camps, we didn't have any of that. So it was kind of like, you are the boot camp, you are the webinar. So it all came from you. And so I always kind of looked for ways to make it simple. So I created like an agent syllabus that gave me a guide of how to structure my meetings, my trainings, and I shared that back with UBI, and from there we birthed the webinar, and from there, some other stuff came. But when I had met Troy, he's so inspirational for so many managers. You guys had the green shirt, and I was like, damn, we walking in a room at the event, we all wearing whatever we want, and here's this sea of green that is like, oh. And then there's this crazy man running on stage like, woo.
And we all
And I
sat on the
saw,
chair screaming and whatnot.
yes, and I saw, that whole dynamic, and I said, wow, I want that. I want that for my team. And then I was on one of you guys' calls, and he was talking about the psychology behind the shirt. Why you guys wearing the green shirts? And I said, you know what? That's it. I'm gonna do shirts. And at the time, well, I had built my agency up, lost it all. Okay. So I had built it up to 1.4 million, which was about 100,000, maybe 130, 140 a month. And it dropped all the way down to 50,000. So I had lost, people, rebuilt. I rebuilt 3 times. But last time I rebuilt was in 2015. Well, now I'm rebuilding again. But in 2015, was when I was back to like 50,000 a month with my team. I had not really any good agents. Everybody was scattered. And I said, dude, if I can just find one person to run with me, if I can just find one person that could see the vision, that can see what I see, because this is what I see. I see a huge team. I see a big organization. I see myself duplicating myself, not 100 times over. And when I 10x it, 1,000 times over. Okay. So the vision is to help 1,000 agents get to 6 figures. And I reinvested my pay through. Okay. I started reinvesting my pay through. I've always reinvested to my team with like bonuses, awards, and stuff like that. But now it kind of took on a different form. Like we started out in the basement of Beneficial Bank in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And it was myself, Will Love. There was another agent, Lamar Montague, is still here. It was like 2 people, and we started doing. We started going in the field together as a group.
Nice.
Okay. So we had marathon Mondays. We go in the field together as a group. We were wearing black shirts at the time that we ordered from the back office from Lincoln, had the Lincoln Heritage. And we were out and it was hot. And I was like, man, this black shirt is not going to work.
All that.
We look like Undertakers in these black shirts. These are hot. I don't like it. But I said, as soon as we are more than, as soon as we get over 10 people, I'm going to invest and get some shirts. Okay. And so until then, we wore black shirts. And religiously just doing the same thing week after week. We would go in the field, we would write our numbers, we go in competition with each other, and every Monday have an opportunity meeting. So little by little we grew to the point where we outgrew the basement. Okay. The basement had like I had a nice little classroom style meeting room with a projector screen, and it was very professional. So people would come there, we would recruit, and in a minute we were like over 15 people. And that's when I decided to invest into an office. And it's almost like God guided me, you know what I mean? Because I see it. I saw it in my mind's eye. And my partners were like, "No, we're not ready for an office." And I'm like, "What you talking about? You know, you thinking small. I'm thinking big." Like,
Right.
you know, I'm thinking big. Like, I'm not just looking at this as a small group. So I said, "Well, I'm the one paying for it. So I'm gonna just go start looking for space." And in that same moment, leaving from a meeting at the bank, I drove a block up the street. I see a sign that says office space for rent. I turn left. I go into the parking lot. 1111, the number itself, right? If you know anything about numbers, I said park. I go in. I go and look at the office, and I said, "This is it. I'm signing the lease." Okay. I didn't need to see anything else because the vision was there. I seen the people in the space. And so moved into the office, painted it the colors that I wanted, put all the motivational quotes up, you know,
Yeah,
invested in the shirts, invested in the furniture, you know, so it was an investment.
absolutely.
A lot of times people don't want to reinvest their money. They're being cheap. They're thinking small. To
Hmm.
me, it was like, I'm going to be Ted Wilson. In my head, I was like, I'm going to recreate UBI. I'm going to become, you know, that's how I had to think. That's what drove me, kept pushing me. So, so we had the office, and little by little, we outgrew that office. Okay. So yeah, so here we had getting, you know, another award from Lincoln, another convention, you know, things was just going, and people are hitting six figures. And you know, that one year I qualified as a manager and as an agent, because
Beautiful.
I wrote over 150,000 or I don't remember what it was, but it was, you know, writing business and having an agency. And then um from there we moved across the hall. And that was a weird that anytime something big happened, I'm telling you, it feels like God, you know, he's right in it, and you feel it when he's in it. You know, it was, I had a dream that night, and I somehow saw myself going through the wall into the other space that was across the hall. Never seen the space, but in my dream, I was like, we're outgrowing the office. We're outgrowing the office. I need a bigger office. And the next morning, I woke up, I walked to the management office, and I said, look, can we break through the wall behind this office to get more space? And they said, oh no, the office across the hall from you, they're moving out actually this week. Do you want to go over there and look? And I said, what? Never seen the space. Walk into that space, and I did a YouTube video on it where I walk into the space, and that office was huge. It had a huge meeting room space. It had a kitchen. It had two conference rooms. It had 3 or 4 individual offices. It had a big receptionist area. And I was like, wow, I was supposed to be in this building. I was supposed to be here.
Yes.
Signed a lease, walked by faith, repainted all those walls, right? Got more furniture, got more chairs, and the team just started growing from there. So it was, you know, it always started with a vision. You have to see it first and then walk in it backwards almost, right?
Yeah.
So you step into it, you see it, and you know, some of my team members said, "Well, what do you say? It's like you build it and they will come."
Yep.
Okay,
That's right.
and you know, it's been very exciting, the ups and downs of it all. You know, people that stick with you, people that leave, everybody plays a role in the journey. The people that burn you play a good role, better even so than the ones that don't, you know.
If you keep your eyes open and pay attention to it, you will learn something. You're right.
Yes. So every agent that ever came through the Parker Group doors, they left. They can never say that they weren't treated well, that they didn't make money, and that they weren't given the nurturing, the love, and the care. if they left angry or upset, which some people do, it had to do something with them and their own character and themselves that they couldn't handle, and then project on, usually the manager or the, whoever is in charge. And it's funny because we get phone calls, and I'm sure you do get them too. People that have left and said, well, I'm gonna leave you and I'm gonna, recreate what you did somewhere else because I can do it better than you. And you wait and you watch and you try to see when it's gonna happen. And next thing you know, you see them hopping from carrier to carrier, and you're like, okay, they're not gonna
When
be
you get that phone call and they said, well, you know what? I was wrong. Is there any way I can come back?
exactly that.
I don't rehire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get those calls, people say, when I was with you, I made the most money. Is there any way I can get back? But see, once you burn that bridge, well, it depends how a person leaves.
Mm-hmm.
If you leave without integrity, respect, and you burn that bridge in an ugly way, I don't want to work with you again either. Okay. But if you leave in a good way, then there's always still opportunity. At the end of the day, though, it's about business. And I think that a lot of times emotions get in the way, where people get so caught up and they don't know how to separate the two. And that's why I tell my agents, if it's not putting money in your pocket, why are you getting hung up? Like your emotions don't get you paid. We can sit down, we can talk about it, let's hash it out. Be a big boy, be a big girl, let's keep it moving. Let's go make this money. But some people get just stuck on the wrong things and they lose their whole opportunity being in their feelings. There's no money there.
Well, it's no money at
There's
all.
no money there. And I had to learn that myself because I was there, and it happens to the best of us. We get to a point in the business where we start making money, our heads get big, we start thinking we got it all like that, we got it going on, we know it all. We can't take any more constructive criticism because what can you possibly still tell me, right? But then you got to get humble, and I had my moment where I almost, quit and walked away, and it was hard, and I had to look at myself. I had to look myself in the mirror and say, I can sit here and cry and play the victim and blame and, play that whole game. And meanwhile, they still eating, they still making millions, and you over here gonna be broke. Or you can suck it up and you can work on you and your business and keep it moving. Okay. And then earn your respect by the work that you do.
I like that.
Okay. And that's exactly what happened. Like I earned my respect with my company because of my work ethic, how I reinvested in my team, how consistent I've been. Consistency gives confidence, and also it gives credibility. If
Yes.
you're
Yes.
consistent, and in this business, I always say you have to be a good character. And to become rich, it's about respect, it's about integrity, it's about character, it's about humility, all those things in order for you to get there. You're not going to get there if you don't have that, and then that consistency is what pushes you really to attract people to your business.
Right.
If they see that you're showing up day after day, nothing is changing. You are who you say you are at home, outside, integrity, right? When nobody's watching, you're not two different people,
Mhm.
okay? Because that happens. You play a role here and there's something else over here.
Over
It
time
has
it comes
to
out.
match,
Hmm.
okay? And because people can feel it, people can sense it if you're playing a role,
Yes.
and that's why they don't follow you. They might respect you for what you can do. They might see like, wow, but they're not going to follow you because
Just
they can feel
impressed.
the energy of that authentic, being authentic all the way through,
Yeah.
you know?
I love that.
So, hmm,
I said I love that. Like it's
yeah,
real. It's just being real. You know.
yeah. And my people know it. The reason I feel like I've had success is because that's been one of my biggest rules for myself, to have integrity with me. Like I couldn't, ask you to follow me if I don't if I wouldn't follow myself.
Right.
If I duplicated myself 100 times, what would the world be like? Okay. So,
That's a really good question. Like a lot of
yes.
people, hmm. And if you don't
How,
like what you think, oh my God, that is a
yeah.
really good question.
If I duplicated myself 100 times as a mother, as a spouse, as a anything, as a business person, as an agent, as a manager, how would the world be like? So if it doesn't align, then probably some more work to do, right? So personal development plays a huge, huge role in all of it, because you cannot really attract the right people to yourself if you're not right within yourself,
That's
you
powerful.
know.
That is powerful. And I'm so angry that
Why?
we are having to shut this thing down. Are you going to come back and join us again?
I can, sure.
We're going to get a ton of questions, I'm sure, and individuals requesting us to go live. And it looks like you're like the live queen on Instagram. So,
No, I'm not neither.
girl, every time I pull up on Instagram, I'm like, there she is, there she is, doing her video.
Well, they say if you it's what they say, obscurity it kills your business. So if you're not showing up, then nobody knows you exist.
I
You
know.
got to show up in the social media world these days.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, I'm like, I'm going to go back, re-listen to the video. I'm going to have my own questions to come down because that's the one thing that when I'm in the videos, I hear everything and there's so many things I want to just like start writing down, but I don't want to miss anything. So many nuggets. So, I mean, just powerful. You are truly a powerhouse. I am so grateful that you accepted my invitation to come on here and bless my little crew that's out here. I am sure I'm getting a text message. They're like, are you still with Jessica? Yes. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. So grateful. And we're going
Thank
to
you.
keep you in prayer to continue with your agency and your teams. And you could get your 100,000 six-figure earners, right? So you can be bigger and better than Ted. So,
1,000, yeah.
but
1,000
you got to
six-figure
let the
earners.
babies run because you're doing it. You're doing it. You have the example, you have the integrity, you have the vision. And I love that. I love that you shared, like, I see it. And even though your partners didn't really see it, you were like, listen, y'all better get on board, but God gave you that
Yeah.
vision.
Well, the right people are going to show up, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? And you just got to believe that. And as you grow and as you morph and evolve, more of the right people are going to show up. You just got to, trust that whole process.
yeah,
And I think last year has opened the eyes to a lot of people. Last year, a lot of us hit rock bottom in our personal lives. I know I did with my death of my dad and all this and that, where you get really exposed to yourself. You have to have those moments because that's where you grow in those painful situations that will help you in leadership,
absolutely.
you know?
And you know what? I do think that we go through so many things so that we can then help the next person
Exactly.
because that's
Exactly.
going to come back up within your agency. Somebody's going to be struggling in that area. I
Oh
know
man.
me all the time.
Life happens to all of us.
I say, you know what, God? Now I know why I went through that. Now I
Exactly.
know why, because now I can help the next person to overcome and still find success if they
Exactly.
want to. If they want to. Girl, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Any
Well,
last words you would like to say? I am going to put all your socials down there, but if you want to tell them how they can follow you, if you would like to speak at what states you are hiring in, but I'll
yes.
put everything in the comments, but feel free to go ahead and close us out.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you so much for having me on here. It was definitely an honor and a pleasure to be on and share a little bit. I hope, I could inspire someone. Now my Instagram handle is at Miss Parker underscore TPG. Okay. And that's MS Parker underscore TPG.
Did y'all catch
Yeah.
that, men? Oh, okay.
Yeah, just put it in the comments or put it down below. Whatever you say, put it down below.
Throwing up your DMs.
Yes. Also, you can, of course, find me on Facebook under Jessica C. Parker. The YouTube channel is the Parker Group TPG. The website is www.tparkergroup.com. That's where you can find more information. I'm currently looking for full-time career agents or entrepreneurs that really want to own their own business, okay, and they want to throw themselves into it, not people that just want it to be a side hustle. But if you really are looking for, a career and you want to, really be part of that shift in wealth that's happening right now, that we're all witnessing, right?
Yes.
Something happening in this world, and entrepreneurship is going to be the way of the future. Okay. I'm looking for people in New Jersey, of course. Tons of work in New Jersey is a 2 million a month opportunity there. We're definitely looking for people in Maryland, in Virginia, in did I say DC, um, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. So all those different states. So if you are in one of those states, reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you and assist you and guide you along the way. So
Amen.
yeah, thank you.
Amen. And again, we'll have everything down below, guys. Like up the video, share this information. It's not only for our single mothers, it's for anybody, again, who is looking for a career, because that is what we're all about, career.
Yes,
All right, changing lives and building wealth, one agent at a time. Thank you
very
guys for
good.
tuning in, and we will be back. She said it. Peace.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.